Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Do It For Yourself. So I've had some questions about my reverse osmosis setup that I connect from my city water through this reverse osmosis system to give me clean, relatively clean water by the time it enters the membrane and back into the tank. So let's go over in detail how I have this set up once again, but then give you some close-ups of what it is that I'm doing, okay? Alright, so what we have here is, this is the water line coming from my outside spigot. So I've got this 3/4 inch water line hooked up to my outside spigot. So it goes all the way my outside spigot over there. Okay, you can see how it follows all the way over here. It's about a 50-foot, maybe about a 50-foot hose, maybe 75. I'm not entirely sure. Then I have a quick disconnect connected to this fitting here. I don't know what they call that fitting again. Now you don't have to do it like this, and you don't even have to have a quick disconnect. This is just the way that I do it. Okay. And then I have this other filtration system here. You don't need it. It's not necessary. I just had it on hand. I think they call this a down filter. It's just an extra measure of filtering before it gets to the big blues. Now you don't even need these big blues. You can get the smaller version of this. But you do need a sediment filter on one end and a carbon filter on the other. I'm sorry I can't bring my camera over here. It's really hard to do it because I have this long tripod hooked up to it. So carbon, sediment. So it goes from my outside water source into my sediment system. I also have a ball valve here. You need to get one of these here so that you can cut off the water for whatever reason. Okay? So you need one of those. If you have one of these, or yeah, that's it. Otherwise you can just go directly from your garden hose into the big blue if you don't have this system here. Okay? Alright. Now, again, I'm going to say it again. Sediment filter. Okay? Carbon filter. You need these two filters if you're running city water. This is going to help filter out a lot of the particulates and whatever nasty stuff's in that water before it hits the booster pump, which is right here. This booster pump is made by Bacoing. I don't know if they still sell them. There are other booster pumps like it, but this takes my water pressure coming, which is a standard 60 psi. That's my water pressure from the city, and can boost it up to 80 or 120. I think 125. This is where it gets tricky. Okay? Now you're gonna need one of these gauges here. This will tell you exactly what the PSI rating is coming from your city water, and by the time you turn on your booster pump. So right now I have it. I don't have the booster pump plugged in. I just have my city water filtering through the filters all the way through this pressure valve here, and I'm running at 40 psi. Now I know I said that city water runs at 60, but remember we got all this other stuff in here. We have all this stuff hooked up right after the garden hose, so it's going to be a little less pressure, right? That's why we have the booster pump right here between the big blue and this PSI gauge. I forgot what they call the gauge, dang it. Anyway, it's an adjustable gauge, so you can bring it down here, but you don't need to. You basically want to set your gauge a little high here and leave it. Where you're going to make the adjustment is where I will show you in a minute. So you got your booster pump here. It's going to take whatever pressure you have coming from the city water, and it's going to boost it to as high as 120 if you want, or 80. You don't need it 120, guys. That's going to determine how clean your water comes out based on the PSI pressure that you get here, and I'll explain that to you. Then we have it exiting from this gauge, this PSI gauge, into my membrane. There's an input here, and there's another, I believe it's a 1/2 inch input here. You want it to go into, I think that's 3/4 and this is 1/2 inch. You want to plug this 1/2 inch up, and then make sure you have a 3/4 inch hose that'll exceed at least 90 psi. Make sure your hoses will exceed that. You can get these braided hoses on Amazon. Also make sure you have a double one of these rings here. You want to make sure you have a couple of these too, because you don't want these to come loose. I only had one on here and it popped right out when I hit at 120, so I got 2 of them on there now. So I've got like a little fitting here that goes directly into my 3/4 inch, and then I've got 2 of these clamps here that keep the hose nice and tight around that 3/4 inch fitting that goes into the hose. Then I have it going directly into this membrane. I know I'm repeating myself, but I just want to make sure I'm getting this right for you. Then I plug this 1/2 inch plug here. You don't want that open. Now the water travels here. Now, mind you guys, I haven't turned on the booster pump. We just have regular pressure city water going through here now. Going through. Boom. Now I have, this is where your wastewater is going to come out of, right here. Here, let's get this a little closer. Okay, there's an exit, a 3/4 inch exit. You want a fitting in there to go directly into one of these little check valves here, or ball valves, or whatever you want to call it. This is a 1/2 inch ball valve. Now, you don't have to set it up exactly like this, but you are going to need like a spigot type ball valve here, so that you can adjust how much wastewater you want to come out, whether you want a lot or whether you want a little. Now here's where it matters. If you look over there, I don't know if you could see it. Again, my PSI pressure is just at 40. The city water runs at 60. I only have 40 at the PSI level, because remember, again, we have it going through all this stuff here. If I had my water line directly connected to the PSI gauge, it would be at 60 to 65. But it's at 40. Now that booster pump between the high pressure gauge and the big blue, the carbon filter, because remember we have sediment, carbon, booster, adjustable high pressure gauge. Now I'm going to plug in my booster pump, which is right here. I have a plug here, and I'm going to plug it into this outlet here. Okay, so let's do that. I'm doing this one-handed, so it's not exactly easy. Where's my, there it is. Okay, here we go. I know I'm showing you every little silly step here, but it's the only way I learn. Okay. Okay, now we have it plugged in. You hear it? Okay. So now look at the gauge, the PSI gauge. You see how it went from, it was at 40. Now it's running at 61-ish or something like that. I already had this at a high setting, okay? And I just leave it alone. Where you will be adjusting how much pressure you want and how much wastewater you want coming out is by adjusting this here. So The clean water, the city water goes through the membrane, and then it exits into this 3/4 inch hose here, braided hose. And remember in my last video, and I'll put it down in the description below, this is the clean water that's going to pump into the tank. Now, I'm going to set up my tripod so I can demonstrate something for you. Okay. Gotta get close on this so you can see. Okay. There's the water coming out. It's running at 61 psi. You must have one of these, guys, okay? This is your TDS meter checker to check the total dissolved solvents that's going to be in 1 glass of water. You don't want plastic, you want glass. So now I'm going to test it. Just running at 61 psi. I'm going to actually just set it right over here and let it run. I don't know if you could see that. Can you see that? Let me see here. No, you can't see that. I want you to see that. Okay. Okay. I'm going to check the TDS value in it now. Okay. It's at 39 or 38 from 650. I'm going to zero it out. There's 0. Hopefully you can see that. And now we're going to put it into the city water that's been filtered through the membrane, and we're at 40 now. The goal with this wastewater is the faster you have the wastewater exit out, the higher the TDS value will be when it exits from this fitting. Because the membrane, you're not giving enough time for the membrane to filter out the dirty water. You're just exiting it too fast. That's what I've discovered with this, okay? So like for instance, if I increase this wastewater to come out, let's say I increase the volume of wastewater. Now, if you look at my I'm going to do this in an angle, guys, but just so you could see it. I went from about 61 to 100 now. I'm at 100 psi. Okay? So now watch what happens when I check the water. If I had a camera guy, I wouldn't need to do all this, but I can't afford a camera guy. Okay. So we're going to test the water. A lot of times you'll have to kind of do that. All right, now let's test the water again. Now we're at 55. See that? And it'll probably climb as we go. I'm at 57. Okay, but if I bring it back down, the amount of wastewater that I want to come out to exit back down to 61, I'll give it a chance to do its magic. You'll get less of it. You'll get less water coming out of the fitting, which will fill up the tank over time. However, the water will come out cleaner. It'll drip cleaner into the tank, so that by the time you hook up, by the time you connect, let me show you. Hold a second. Okay. After I've tried to achieve the lowest TDS value I can get out of this system, Then at some point I will go, okay, now I can go ahead and run my hose from the tank. That's a 1/2 inch hole that goes into another. We have our tank, we have the bulkhead, then we have a ball valve there to cut off the water. Then we have another filter there, and then it connects to a 1/2 inch. And then it goes directly into my, oh great, it's going to be dark in here now. To my diaphragm pump right here at 3.2 gallons a minute, something like that. Then it's going to go from here into my deionizer. And then from my deionizer to my electric pressure washer. And then for my electric pressure washer, I'll hook up the hose. I'll hook up the hose to my driveway and wash my car at 0 TDS. Because what happens is, remember, in one of my videos I showed that this on-the-go deionizer takes my 39 or 17 or 20 TDS that I'm getting from my tank and brings it down to 0. Okay, so I will also say that I hope I'm explaining this right, guys. It's just okay. So I'm gonna test it again. Now you could fluctuate. I'm gonna turn this on at 0. Okay, we're at 38. Now I discovered, since this membrane is a little on the older side, I've had it for a little while now, and I tried to keep it covered in the sunny Arizona sun, but I think this is very important to understand. The best time to run this system is when it's cool out. You're going to get better, you're going to get cleaner water when you're doing this when it's cool. Unless, of course, you have it in a van and you're mobile and you're doing this for a business, that's different. But I've discovered that when this membrane gets hot, the TDS value increases. Okay? Or if the water comes in hot and then you got a hot membrane, all that stuff matters. So try to do this when it's cool out. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this in here. We're at about 60 PSI. And that's it. See if I can get my ugly face on here. Okay. That's pretty much it. I know I've said things and I've repeated myself and all that good stuff, but I really want you to try and set up something like this at home if you want to wash your own vehicles. You may have a better way to do this. You may actually find that I'm doing it a little more complicated and I should do it this way. That's fine. I'm just trying to offer you the principle of how to hook something up like this so that you can do it from home. And you don't have to pay $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, you know, from some company to come out, or some YouTuber who's trying to sell you something that you can do yourself. You can buy smaller membranes. You don't have to buy them this big. I was new to the whole process. Remember, I had to get all these fittings. I had to figure things out. I didn't get any help from these, you know, YouTubers that I tried to email. Nobody helped me. So you can do this. And I love it. I washed 3 or 4 cars yesterday, 3 cars yesterday, using my foam cannon. And I did it with clean water, 0 TDS coming out of my pressure washer. And I didn't have to dry one car with a towel. Where's my coffee? I need my coffee. All right, well, I can't find my coffee. Anyway, if this has helped you in any way, guys, subscribe, share, comment. That's all I ask. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them the best I can. I work a full-time job, so I'm very busy. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.